It's Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank on the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160. Time now for another interview segment presented by our friends at Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Altoona Curve's John Mozes joins us on the phone line. And John, just to let you know that Jake Slebodnick has joined us in studio. I think between the two of us, we should be able to talk a lot about the Curve baseball coming up. But last night, it's got to feel good to have a come-from-behind victory like that.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing better than a walk-off home run to win a game. Daniel Amaral is a guy who's been here all year and filled a pretty important role for the team. Sort of that lone right-handed bat that mixes into the outfield. And, it was a great way to finish off sort of a soggy evening for baseball in Altoona.
Especially with the Somerset Patriots, one of the newcomers to the Northeast League. What's your overall status on how they are as a team and how Altoona really has attacked them over the past two games?
I mean, Somerset's a good group. Those guys can really pitch. Their two starters the last two nights, Hayden Wisniewski and Ken Waldachuk, both look like two of the better arms in the league right now. And we'll see another one of those guys tonight in right-hander Luis Medina. But this is a group that has some real power in the batting lineup. Oswald Peraza, the shortstop, he's a really impressive player. Mm-hmm. 4 hits, 3 runs batted in on Tuesday night. And even some of the lesser-known guys like Dermis Garcia, Josh Bro, who's also a prospect that's recently come up to Double-A, catcher. They have the league's leader in home runs. They have, nearly every guy in that order can beat you with one swing. So, yeah, you have to sort of be careful with how you pitch these guys and try to stay away from those powerful spots that they can do some damage.
The battery has been important, and so has the bullpen. So Jeff Passantino got the no decision, but the bullpen really coming through in the clutch to make sure that the Patriots stayed off the board a little bit longer than the Altoona Curve did last night.
Yeah, it was nice to see Noe Toribio make his way back to the mound. He'd been dealing with a little forearm issue since the beginning of July. So after about 6 weeks, it was good to see him come out with 2 relatively clean and easy innings out of the bullpen. And, then Christopher Melendez has also been one of the best relievers that Altoona's had all year. And, Chris gives up 2 runs there, only one of them earned across the 8th and 9th inning. But, he's got such nasty stuff. I mean, that fastball up to 98, 99 miles an hour. He's been pretty impressive this year, and it was good to see Chris with a couple more strikeouts last night.
A lot of sauce on that pitch.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We talk about the battery of this team, and one of the newcomers has sort of given a good jump to the battery for the Curve. Matthew Frasier, he's been impressive on all levels of the Pirates organization. What's your thoughts on how he's really gelled with the Curve so far, and just overall, what do you think the limit is for him? I mean, obviously the sky's the limit, but how has he brought on a new breath of fresh air to the Curve?
Frasier is one of these guys who didn't have a first professional season of baseball. He drafted out of college in 2019, and when you see the numbers he put together at High A, and you say, "Oh, he's 23 years old," but it's really sort of his age 22 season in practice because he didn't get a chance to play after making some adjustments following the 2019 season. Where he's focused on hitting the ball a little bit further out in front of his body, improving his contact point, and just from a confidence perspective, he says he feels like a more confident player this year. And I think that has come across on the field. He's just gone about his business. It shows the ability to run. He's hit for extra bases. He's a guy that's got a pretty bright future because he can really run and play center field. And a guy that can hit for average and mix in a bit of power as well that can play center field is a pretty valuable player. So he's been a great addition to Altoona's lineup.
That was going to be my follow-up question. What do you classify Frasier? Is he more of a contact hitter? Is he more of a balanced player? Or is he more for power? Because he pretty much maxes out on every single part of that.
Yeah, I mean, he's shown the ability to do it all at the plate. And, I think he's a guy that has certainly put himself on the radar for some people that are outside the Pirates organization. I think the Pirates sort of had an idea of how good Matt is. But now that people are starting to see the production in games, I think around the industry, people are starting to, have a little bit of a higher opinion of him. But, Matt is just a great all-around player and, a guy that Altoona is fortunate to have in the lineup.
Yeah, he's just a freak of nature.
Yeah. I want to go to something a little bit different now, and because we've been, of course, dealing with the pandemic most of the year and the minor leagues going to these 6-game series. And I think this has actually been very interesting to have the teams come in and just play each other 6 games straight up. But what is that like for the players and for the crew working at the PNG field, because of the fact that you do have these games back to back to back all throughout the second half of the week?
Yeah, it can be a little monotonous. Players, they have to mix their signs, they have to mix their scouting reports. How you attack a batter as a pitcher on a Tuesday or Wednesday might be different by the time Friday or Saturday rolls around, because the opposing team makes their adjustment to you and you have to adjust back to them. Mm-hmm. It's been kind of tough, honestly. 6 days in a row, and we've sort of gathered some feedback from some of our fans as well. Having a little more variety in the schedule, I think would sort of help us in the long run. But for the most part, they've been an interesting player development data point. That you have to figure out. How do you beat a team 5 times out of 6 or 4 times out of 6 in a week? And it often comes down to the game of adjustments, which, as we know, is so important to the game of baseball. And
some of those adjustments can just be the tiniest things, but they'll make the biggest difference in the game.
For sure. If you pitch a guy with a lot of fastballs early in the game, and then he comes up with a couple of hits or you get some good swings at it, then you change your game plan because you want to get easy outs and get outs quickly. So. Our pitchers, I think, have done a nice job sort of mixing the way that they attack this lineup, as they work deeper and deeper into a series. I think the same is for Altoona batters. By the end of the series, they get to know those opposing relievers pretty well, so they know what to expect when a guy's coming into the game on Saturday and Sunday.
Now, staying on that topic, what has been the reaction from Curve manager Miguel Perez and some of the players about these 6-game series? Have they found it better and more beneficial, or have they found it more not troublesome but a little bit more challenging since they face the same team, 5 times a week?
Yeah, Miguel was actually asked about this on Tuesday night by Corey Geiger at the Altoona Mirror, and Miggy sort of laughed and said, "Well, it just sort of depends how the week is going. When you're winning 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6, you kind of love it. But when you have a series like the Curve had last week at Erie, where they lost 4 in a row by at least 6 runs or more in each game, it kind of feels tough to continue on with these 6-gamers, but." Look, it's a grind. You're in the same city for 6, or, in our case, you're home for 12 or 13 days in a row, and that can be great. But, being on the road for 6 or 12 days in a row, it does get to be kind of hard on your body. And, players and coaches alike have had to make the adjustment this year.
There is something to be said for being able to relax at home, Oh,
yeah.
So let's go on. What are we expecting today out of Somerset now that the series is kind of evened up at 1 apiece?
Well, yeah, Somerset has an outstanding right-handed arm in Luis Medina, who's going to make the start tonight. He's one of the top prospects in the Yankees minor league system. Big fastball, outstanding breaking ball. At just 22 years of age, this is a guy that really has a really high upside going forward in his career. So, Altoona will have to be ready for him. Fortunately, we saw him earlier this year when we played at Somerset a few weeks back in late July. So Altoona is, familiar with how to attack Medina and what he wants to do to get guys out. I think, getting a chance to see him a second time probably serves the Curve well. But got to try to find a way to keep those Somerset power bats at bay. The Curve giving up a couple of home runs the last 2 days, and the less home runs you give up, the better chance you have to win.
In the same breath, Trey McGowen's got to work around the zone. He's been pretty efficient as of late, and he's got to attack the Somerset Patriots hitters tonight. What are some of the keys that he has to focus on ahead of tonight's game?
Yeah, Trey has just been terrific all season. He's in all but 2 of his starts, he's gone at least 5 innings. And, one thing that I noticed is that when he's able to command his curveball and throw that for a strike or bend it out of the strike zone for a swing and miss when the situation calls for it. When he can command that breaking ball, that's when he gets to be really tough.
Oh, yeah.
Because he throws strikes with that fastball pretty consistently, and he can mix in the slider and changeup just to keep guys off balance. But as long as McGowen can throw strikes with that breaking ball and have some consistency with it, he's going to be pretty tough. He's been Altoona's best starter really since the beginning of July.
Yeah, 3-3 on the season, 3.84 ERA for McGowen, and the fact that he's a Johnstown native, you've got a great crowd behind him too. So he's feeling the love in Tuna.
For sure, and we're happy to see so many friends and family connected to Trey whenever he pitches at home, and looking like good weather again tonight. So we look forward to seeing a big crowd coming out from Johnstown area.
Knock on wood. I hope that weather does hold out. Hey, thank you again, John, for allowing Jake and I to talk with you this morning here on Indiana in the Morning. All the best, and we're hoping it's another great day in Curve, PA.
Thanks, John.
Look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again to John Mozes, Director of Communications and Broadcasting for the Altoona Curve, joining us on Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. And thanks to you, Jake, for helping out with this one.
Hey, no problem, Josh. Thanks for having me. I love to talk Curve baseball.
So, yeah, you're probably the biggest Curve fan in the building.
Oh, yeah.
Indiana in the Morning, presented by First Commonwealth Bank. Our interview is presented by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people.